Hello and welcome back, everyone. The purpose of this presentation is to discuss the remaining phyla in Chapter 33. So when we were interrupted, I was in the middle of discussing phylum Arthropoda. And as you will hopefully recall, arthropods are the most successful animals in terms of sheer numbers of animals and sheer numbers of species. So we discussed how arthropods, if we sort of go through our general characteristics, we know they have bilateral symmetry because they are in the clade bilaterans. Therefore, they are triploblastic. Yes, they do have a true coelom, and yes, they still have two gut openings. And yes, because they are members of the clade Ecdysozoan, that they do ecdysis. And we talked about the caterpillar, grasshopper emerging from its exoskeleton. So again, this is true of lots of animals, and this is true of clade Ecdysozoan. So let's review characteristics that are fairly unique to Arthropoda. Again, arthro means joint, poda means leg. If you've had arthroscopic surgery, that means you've had surgery on one of your joints, so jointed legs. And again, to review, legs, use your imagination a little bit. Just don't think of a human leg or a dog leg. Again, here's crawdads. I do like crawdads. They have walking legs, they have feeding legs, they have defensive legs. So their jointed legs are adapted for many functions. They do have segmented bodies, so this phylum is characterized by segments. Not every phylum has that. And as we said before, they have exoskeletons. They must molt to grow. And remember, the scientific word for molting is ecdysis. Now, where I left off, I was discussing that arthropods have an open circulatory system. Now, there's this little rule in biology. Biology has all these funky little rules that if you have a closed circulatory system, and what that means is the blood travels from the heart through the blood vessels, and then the blood vessels carry the blood back to the heart. That is a closed circulatory system. And if the liquid is in a closed circulatory system, it is called blood. But if the liquid is in an open circulatory system, it's called hemolymph. Even though it might do the same thing, carry oxygen to spotty cells, it's called hemolymph. So if you were a grasshopper, you would have several hearts up here on your dorsal side, and the movement alone would cause some of the hemolymph to flow into the hearts. Now, when hemolymph does flow into the hearts, there are valves, one-way valves, that keep the hemolymph from flowing backwards. Once in the hearts contract, the hemolymph is squirted through this dorsal blood vessel, and it bathes all the internal organs, giving them oxygen and food, etc., etc. So that's hemolymph, and that's an open circulatory system. All right, now what we'll do is, this is so big, phylum Arthropoda, we will look at the four major subgroups. These are either going to be the major subphyla or classes of arthropods. The first subphylum are the cheliceraforms, and I refer to the cheliceraforms as arachnids and friends. Now, if I say the word arachnid, what do you think of? Well, most people think of spiders, arachnophobia, right? And that's a good guess. That's a good thing to think of because spiders are examples of arachnids. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of an animal that is in this subphylum, cheliceraform, but is not an arachnid. And those are these animals here. Does anybody recognize them? You might have seen them on the beach. These are horseshoe crabs. Very old, very neat organism. These animals have been around for millions and millions of years. And they are in the subphylum cheliceraform, but they are not arachnids. So let's take a look at some arachnids. Maybe you can recognize them. Anybody recognize this? If you're thinking scorpion, that would be correct. And most people recognize this arachnid. Yes, it's a spider, specifically the black widow. Now, when I show this picture to my students, a lot of people say ticks, but it is actually a mite. But a tick is also an arachnid. So arachnids include spiders, scorpions, ticks, and mites. And yeah, these little dust mites, I mean, they're very tiny. Some of these live on our skin, eat our dead skin. They're harmless. They They gross us out to think about them, but they really don't hurt us. So, all the animals in this subphylum, they have 8 legs and chelicera. Well, what the heck are chelicera? Well, let's see if we can figure this out. I have another little PowerPoint here. Dedicated to this fact. And what happened to it? Oh dear. I know I opened it up. Is it hiding? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll go back to that. But what chelicera are these fang-like extensions from the mouth, and they exude poison into the prey. So they paralyze the prey and help capture it. And I think you know that you don't want to get bit or stung by these. I will show you that PowerPoint slide. It's just one slide when I find it. All right, the myriapods. Myria means many. Pods again means leg. So can you think of some animals that are many-legged? Maybe these pictures will help jog your memory. There's one, and there's another one. And if you're thinking of millipedes and centipedes, you would be correct. Now, do you know which is which? Now, a centipede doesn't really have 100 legs, and a millipede doesn't really have 1,000 legs. But remember, arthropods are segmented animals. And let's look at this body segment here. This body segment has 1 pair of legs. This body segment also has 1 pair of legs. These body segments have 2 pair of legs. You only see it on one side, but obviously 2 pair of legs, 2 pair of legs. So this would be a picture of a centipede, and this is a picture of a millipede. Now, of these 2 animals, one is very friendly and one is a very active predator. So if you had to pick up one of these, which one would you choose? Well, I'd tell you which one I would pick up. I'd pick up the millipede. Millipede are very gentle scavengers. They feed on just dead debris and leaves. And now, just to put this in scale, I mean, if you would look at your pencil, this is about, or pen, this would be about the width of your pen or pencil. And this is about maybe 2 inches, about 5 centimeters long. They're very gentle creatures. I was out in the woods this summer. I was actually with my family in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And the really cool thing about Great Smoky Mountain National Park, it is a biodiversity hotspot for salamanders. So we were on this little salamander hunt. We found several species of salamanders in just a half hour. But I noticed these millipedes on the log. So I picked them up because there were a lot of kids there and let them pet them. And most people, when they see little animals like that, they think, oh, slimy. But remember, these are arthropods. They have an exoskeleton. You could take your pencil and tap it. And it's, just like with your fingernail tapping something. And yeah, they're not slimy at all. It's just a little shell. So very gentle creatures. The ranger said, oh, they're so big. And I didn't say, well, this is what size they normally are. So the kids really liked them. And I think the naturalists there learned something. Now these, on the other hand, are centipedes. I would not pick up one of these. These are predators. They will bite you. They're very good at what they do. Don't ever pick up a centipede. So we looked at the chelicera forms, the myriapods. The next group of arthropods we'll look at are the crustaceans. And most people are usually pretty good at naming crustaceans. There's shrimps, lobsters, crayfish, crabs, isopods. What are isopods? Well, most people recognize this is a crab and this is an isopod, but you probably call it a roly-poly, right? Or a pill bug. So have you ever picked up a pill bug and watched it roll up in your hand, a little roly-poly? If not, you just really haven't lived yet. Anyway, little isopods, they can be terrestrial or aquatic. And again, here's one of my favorite critters, the crawdads. One thing to note about crustaceans, they are the dominant arthropods in aquatic environments. So they dominate the seas. You rarely find a marine insect, but the crustaceans dominate. Finally, we have the major group, the subphylum Hexapoda. Hex means 6, 6 legs. And so out of this subphylum, most of the animals belong to class Insectae. So This is on your lecture guide. All insects have a head, they have a thorax, they have an abdomen, and of course they have one pair of antennae, 2 pairs of wings, 3 pairs of legs. I don't know about you, but my kids had learn a little song about insects. Now, here, let's quiz yourself here. Think kingdom, phylum, class, what comes next? Order. There are over 30 orders of insects. Your book highlights 15 of these. You will not have to memorize all 30 orders. In fact, or all 15 orders, you'll have to memorize 3. And I'm going to walk you through a couple of them. All right, Coleoptera, this order contains the beetles. Look at how many species of beetles there are. There are over 350,000 species just of beetles. You might not like the Japanese beetle, but most people like the ladybug beetle. All right, Diptera, this order is of flies. When I say flies, most people think of house flies, but look at this. Over 150,000 different species of flies. Hymenoptera, this is another order. This has the wasp in it. And again, look at how many different species of wasp there are. This is the other order that you have to memorize is Lepidoptera. I thought you would like that one because it contains the butterflies and moths. Look at this, 120,000 different species of butterflies and moths. I personally like Odonata. This includes the dragonflies and the damselflies. And there we have orders that include walking sticks. And if you know anybody who's gotten head lice, yeah, fun. So this is what I want you to try right now. This video is going to end, and I want you to classify a butterfly using all of these features. Have fun.